Hi there, and welcome to Green Shoe Conversations, episode 20. I'm Stephanie Cochran. I'm the executive director for the Green Shoe Foundation, and I am very excited today because I am not leading this conversation. I get to turn it over. A lot of you guys know, especially if you watched last week's episode, Rebecca Holt. She is one of our therapists here, and she is going to introduce some very special guests that we have with us. So, Rebecca, I'm just going to turn it on over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm really excited today. I know one of the things at Green Shoe that we talk about is the mind, body, emotion connection. Because a lot of times whenever people go through trauma, they get disconnected from their bodies. And so I'm really excited because I've invited some very special people to join us today to talk about one of the things that we know can help us connect back to ourselves, and that's yoga. And so I asked Ted and Martha from Spirit House Yoga and Yogalab here in Oklahoma City to join us just to have a conversation about yoga today. So I'm really excited you guys are here. How are you doing today?
Oh, we're good.
Great. Welcome to this conversation. Well, and I hate to have the stereotypical question of tell me about yourselves, but tell me about yourselves and just the Spirit House Yoga and Yogalab.
Well, let's see. We are the oldest yoga studio in Oklahoma City. We incorporated in 2004. And Yogalab is 6 years old now. So Yogalab was begun as a apprenticeship venue for our teacher training program. It's been very successful at providing low-cost yoga to the community. And let's see, Spirit House Yoga, our intention is that everyone can do yoga. So our tagline is yoga for everyone. Mm-hmm. And we welcome any and all students, no matter what their level of ability or size or age. Everybody can do something.
Yeah. So I didn't share this at first, but I've been coming to Spirit House Yoga for a little over a year now. And I know I've talked with Ted about this, and I've emailed you guys about this, but whenever I started, I thought I was coming for the physical fitness, for the physical part of it. And what I soon learned, there was a lot of emotional benefits for that and just the emotional wellness component of yoga. And so I was curious just to hear from you guys how you've seen that come up with people's practice, or maybe in your own life, just the benefits of yoga emotionally and physically.
Well, from an emotional standpoint, I don't know, the easiest way that I would describe it is that we don't really do yoga. Yoga does us. We have to get on the mat. We have to beat resistance, get on the yoga mat, go to class, and be as present as possible. And really from there, the magic happens. You have to experience it to know how that makes sense where I say yoga does us. That we're not really doing yoga. We think we're doing yoga. We think we come because we've heard it's healthy and beneficial and all that, but until you actually get on a yoga mat and experience it for yourself, that magic that happens in an hour's time from when you walk in the door to when class is finished, we're sitting quietly. The difference in how we feel is remarkable, actually. And I tell people that at that moment, at the end of class, where we're sitting quietly, that we're our most powerful selves in that moment, that we're our most honest selves in that moment, that we are far less reactive to life and far more responsive to life in that moment. The hard part is carrying that out of class, into the car, driving home, and not having that sense of stillness inside disturbed. That's kind of the real yoga, is going back out into the world.
Yeah.
But at least we can taste it for a while and then hopefully remember in between classes.
Rebecca, I think I can relate to what you said. I started yoga for the same reason,
Yeah.
to get into my body and out of my head, and found out pretty quickly that it was more than that. And one of the things I explained to my students is that you take an hour out of your day and we give instructions so that you don't have to think about anything. You're busy following the instruction and you're busy breathing. And it gives your mind somewhat of a rest to just come in and connect to your body, connect to your breath, so that all the drama of your day can just fade into the background.
Yeah.
And then it loses its power over you. Like the anxiety, the drama, it all loses its power over you because you're present and connected to your breath.
Yeah.
Breath is super grounding, super therapeutic for so many things of, down regulating your central nervous system, replenishing the oxygen in your body on a cellular level. So there's all the scientific stuff too that goes along with it.
Yeah. It's been interesting the past few months with the pandemic, how we've been forced to be present in some ways. I mean, some people have avoided that, but I know that's something I think a lot of people are aware of, is being present with their body, with their mind, aware of themselves more than ever.
It can be very uncomfortable for people,
Absolutely.
And sometimes we'll see students that make a breakthrough and it scares them off a little bit and they retreat. So you're always being confronted with yourself. Like, who is it? Yogi Berra? Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah. One of the things we talk about in the work we do in trauma is people, they try to get out of reality, any way to avoid reality, which becomes addictions, compulsions. And one of the things I love with yoga and dealing with emotional trauma is it helps you stay present in your body, but also it helps you can feel safe in your body. And I know we often reference The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And so I love that part of yoga too, that you get an opportunity to be present and feel safe with yourself.
What's one of the most important things at our studios, is that people feel safe.
Yeah.
That they're not going to be judged, belittled, called out. There's, as I get to know people, there's a playfulness in having friends walk through the door, seeing how they're doing, seeing where they are in that moment, and offering just a place where they can be themselves and feel safe, not judged, and that they know that we're going to take care of them for that hour. That's somewhat of a rare thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know, as you were talking, Ted, about that safety, I know we kind of talked about this as we were getting ready for the podcast, but I had shared with you when I first started, I think I had mentioned to you, I thought yoga was about being bendy. And you had said, you're not getting it.
No, the only thing that needs to be flexible is your mind.
I love that. Yes.
So really, it's actually in some ways easier to teach people who are not so bendy.
That's me.
Yes, but you're so flexible in your mind. In some ways, it's easier to teach the people that are not so bendy than the other people who are naturally flexible. They sometimes want to go past their a safe point in their body just to feel something. Their hamstrings might not be tight, and they can go pretty deep in some poses, and they're just trying to feel something, and they don't really need more open hamstrings or whatever it is. They're already open. They need to get stronger, is what we think.
That's one of my favorite jokes about yoga, is that yoga is harder for flexible people because they have to back up. They have to back out of the poses more and cultivate strength. But Ted's right. I think there's some kind of neurological thing, and I don't have enough information about it, but with hypermobile people not being able to feel. And I'm wondering if there's a mental component to that too, a mental or emotional component of not being able to feel. So they've got to push past or overstretch just to feel something. So I don't know. That's a topic for more research, I think. But it's something that we'd like to educate people on, that you don't have to be.
Yes.
That's Bagger.
He's been sitting here the whole time. Right here.
I love it.
That you don't have to be flexible to do yoga. It's not about flexibility. It's about finding the balance. And here's the bigger metaphor, is that we're always trying to find balance and equanimity in our lives. And if we can find it on the yoga mat and embody that, it makes it a little bit easier to find it in our everyday lives.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know one of the things I've heard both of you talk about, and it really stood out to me, because this is something I do in therapy, but moving energy, moving the energy out of the body. And so I was a little bit curious if you could explain that just from the yoga point of view, what that means, what that looks like.
Well,
I'll let you handle that one.
thank you. It's one of those things that has to be experienced to be understood. It's not really understood on the intellectual level. It's understood on a physical level, on an emotional level. The power of the practice can never be underestimated, because I've seen it in so many people, and you can feel it in the class too as well, that people will come in one state, and I teach at 6 o'clock primarily, so people are coming from work, and a lot of people don't like their jobs, or they're just stressed, or they got stuff to do, and they feel like they should be doing something other than yoga, but they know how they feel after class. And people try to describe it in different words: grounded, centered, all these different kinds of words. There really isn't a word to capture it, how somebody might feel, but just the act of breath and movement, because what we do on the mat is movement meditation, basically. So it's movement and breath, it's present moment awareness, and what we're trying to do is get out of the way. We're trying to just drop our day, drop our stresses, drop our worries, whatever they might be in someone's life, and we all have them at different levels each day, but just to drop that. So I use breath and movement and instruction, giving people something to do on the mat. Hug your heel back, or spread your fingers, or bend your knees, or whatever the cue might be. All of that is really just to get people present. And then I also like to use humor, personally, because it draws people in, it gets them out of their head. It's relatable. And if we're laughing, we're present. It's really that simple. And anybody can think of when they're happiest in their life, of playing with the dog in the backyard, or playing with a child, out at the park, or just that kind of simple stuff. Whatever that is that makes you happy, whether it's a hobby or cooking, or it can be almost anything. And if you think about it, if you're really present, you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're trying to do in a yoga class, is really just get people present and get them to have a shift. And that's the moving of the energy, that shift of coming out of, my boss is, on me about getting a project done, or whatever it is. And just to come out of that for a little bit, even for like a couple of minutes, is powerful, to just have that shift. When you come back to that worry, to that problem that needs to be looked at, you're actually coming back with fresher eyes, with a clearer vision, and more of a sense of what needs to be done to take care of business. If any of that made sense, I hope it did.
All of it.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. I was a little bit curious from you, just because a lot of times in our retreats and our groups, I bring up yoga, just recommend it, encourage it, have people explore it. But if someone were wanting to start a practice, or they were new to yoga, what would you want them to know?
Well, let's see. I would want them to know that there's a vast difference in practices wherever you go throughout the city, just to do homework and make sure that where they're going is an appropriate venue for them.
Yeah.
We have classes that are specifically geared for beginners. And honestly, most of the classes that I teach are level 1 classes anyway, beginner level 1 classes. So the danger is someone new to yoga walking into a studio where things move too quickly, or the room is heated, and or they have a preconceived notion about what yoga is.
Mm.
So an example of this is I'm working at a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center, and working with veterans is one of the units where I'm working. And they all think yoga is about putting your ankle behind your neck. So they think yoga is something that they have an idea or a perception of what they think it is. And so that's problematic, because yoga is everywhere. We see it on TV commercials. It's in our culture now. And there's a lot of misperceptions about it. So I just like for people to do their homework and check places out, and take a couple, take more than one class, take some classes with different teachers, and find the fit that's right for you.
it can vary so much between one teacher and another teacher. Even between Martha and I, we're teaching the same thing, but the way she teaches, the way I teach, we're two different people. We're teaching the same thing, but one person may relate better to Martha than me, and one person may relate better to me than Martha, and that's fine. That's completely natural. You want to find just a good fit, someone you feel safe with, someone you can relate to. So you got to do your homework, though. And you might go to a yoga class. You might go to a yoga class and it might not have been a great experience. Maybe it was hot. Maybe it was fast. I don't know. Maybe you felt judged, or any number of things. Don't let that be the end of yoga, because it's, everybody, I don't know, everybody understands yoga a little differently and teaches it differently. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of searching out and finding a good fit, but not giving up on it. The hardest yoga class you go to is the first one. because you don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know if you're going to be able to do the poses. You don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of anxiety. It's hard. It's really hard. And we try to put people at ease when they come in the studio. And lots of times I just tell someone, I'll take care of you. And then that's all they really need to hear. You know, it's like, oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
You know,
I think people just want to be seen more than anything, that they're recognized, and they come in and the teacher recognizes that they have, you know, maybe some limitations, or, you know, maybe they're a little bit uncomfortable, a little anxiety. Just being seen and being recognized and welcomed is such a big part of what we do.
you know, we had a young woman come to yoga, and Martha and I both remember this clearly. And she came to yoga. It was a Saturday morning, and after class, she
was crying.
She was crying, and she said, "I didn't know if I could do yoga or not." And we're like, "Well, why is that?" She said, "Well, because I don't fit into the clothes." And she was a larger woman, but had one of the most beautiful practices of all our students we've ever had. And she went through our teacher training program and became just a beautiful teacher, just such a positive influence. But, you know, for the other women, the other body types that come in and saw this young woman, she had to be an inspiration for the other women who came into class. Yeah. We've actually found that the larger women have really beautiful practices. That's generally what we found. It's not the thin dancers, or, you know, the 20-somethings, or but it's anybody can have a beautiful yoga practice.
Yeah. I love that. I want to share too. I have so much gratitude for what you do and the safety you provide for the people coming in. And also just, I know right now with COVID, the safety you provide in the studio, because we're wearing masks. You're also providing Zoom classes through Zoom. And so I know people can do it digitally as well as they come in. And so I really, like I said, appreciate that safety part of it. Stephanie, I know you've been over there hanging out. Do you have any questions for Ted and Martha?
Well,
or Bagger?
I can't tell you how much I appreciate just listening to this conversation. And, you know, I hope you're really proud of your student, Rebecca, because she is somebody who does take the practice outside of the room, like you said, once they go home, because she's been a huge encouragement to me. I'm someone who I've been completely intimidated by yoga, and just for what you said, because I'm not, I'm curvy. I'm not that skinny dancer. I'm not bendy. And thinking that, especially when you see things on social media, things that I'm going to have to be able to do these poses and know what they're called.
Yeah, don't look at that. Don't look at that stuff.
No, and I'm telling everybody don't, because Rebecca has encouraged me. So I've started my own practice, and especially with COVID, being able to find things. There's tons of resources, but you're right. I found a group that I love the instructors because guess what? They look like me, you know, shape-wise. It's all about breathing. It's about releasing the energy, and it's so positive. And I have found that yes, I am somebody who I love my good sweaty workouts, but it's my yoga sessions that are giving so much more to me. I think that emotional part, and I've noticed a change physically, just with my muscles and things like that, but it's the emotional component that has been the reward for everything. So yeah, I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, and I personally think social media has been the worst thing for yoga. Because it just, you know, it's people look at that and they compare themselves and they say, I could never do that. And we made a decision a long time ago when we started our first website that there would be no pictures of us doing yoga, because we didn't want people to compare themselves to what we can do.
The other thing is that when looking for a teacher in a yoga studio, is our teachers, and as well as ourselves, our whole teacher training program, is about teaching what we call off the mat. So we're not on a yoga mat leading a class. We're teaching a class. We're watching. We're instructing. We're not doing the yoga class. The Zoom classes are a little different because we're doing live yoga in the studio as well as Zooming. So that's kind of interesting. But we always have a spokes model at the front because most people are visual learners. And we find that helps some people to see, they could peek up at their computer screen, and if they didn't catch what one of us was saying, that they can take a quick peek and see what we're doing, or our spokes model is doing.
Well, and tell us, how can somebody get a hold of you? I've actually got a slide that I'm going to throw up. So you guys kind of talk and talk a little bit about how they can kind of get in contact with you.
Well, we have a website, spiritHouseYoga.com. That's got our Zoom schedule up and our in-class schedule. And there it is right there. And we also are present on Facebook. We have Spirit House Yoga on Facebook and Yogalab also. And our daily classes are posted every day. So all kinds of different ways to get a hold of us.
Okay.
There's contact us button on the Spirit House page if someone has a question, or they can message us on Facebook.
Spirit House is at 50th and Chartel. We're behind Bishop McGinnis High School, which most people know where that is. And we have 2 studios there. And then Yogalab is in the Plaza District. We're across the street basically from Okanor and Roxy's, and which people know where that is, I think. So those classes there are $8. The Zoom classes are $8. So we do a little price break because you're not getting the personal one-on-one help. So those are $8. Those are affordable. And people have been really taking advantage of that during COVID. But we're socially distanced at the studio. We all wear masks. Class sizes are limited to 12 at both studios. You have to text in to reserve a spot, which isn't a big deal. And I don't know what else to say.
We do offer yoga teacher training for those that are interested in learning to teach from a place of authenticity. And it's not a short program. It's a year long.
It's going to start in February. The 8th year starts in February. It's eight?
Yep.
8th year starts in February.
Did you hear that, Rebecca?
Thank you.
Yes, no, I'm on board with you guys. Yes, I'm gonna.
We've talked.
Yes,
We've
I know
talked.
you have, and I've told her the same thing. So that's good for me to know, so I can.
Really, it's not so much. It's disguised as yoga teacher training, but it's actually personal empowerment program, where the change in people after they've gone through the program is incredible. It's just incredible, the self-growth that people go through with the program. So it's just disguised as a teacher training program. It's really self-growth. So if you're sick, it's really like if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then do the program.
Yeah.
And then come see us at Green Shoe.
Right. We'll blend all of that.
Between the two of us, we'll get you straightened out.
What'd you say?
I said between the two of us, we'll get you all straightened out.
Yeah. Martha, Ted, thank you so much for being with us today and just talking about the connection with the mind, the body, and how yoga is a part of that. So,
well, thank you. We're honored to be part of your podcast. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And again, if anybody needs to get a hold of us here at Green Shoe, you can reach us on our Facebook page or go to our website at greenshoe.org. You can always reach out at info@greenshoe.org for the email if you have any questions. So again, we will see you guys next week. And Ted, Martha, thanks so much. We really appreciate it.